Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Arts and Lifestyles Wednesday, presented by The Exit Room on the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Circumstances, mainly through my wonderful vacation in Europe, have conspired to make it almost a month since we've been able to have our Wednesday visit with Tim Finn from In Kansas City Magazine. Of course, you can hear him Thursdays at 4 with John Hart on 90.9 The Bridge as well. And we always talk about a wide variety of things and have some explorations into the world of music. But after all that time, we have a lot to chew on. Some great shows coming up that he always features in his In Kansas City previews in that great magazine that you can get online. And, of course, a beautiful print version as well. And also, we get to talk about a couple of throwback to the 80s concerts that he reviewed recently that are fun to revisit and talk about, and in his own inimitable fashion. Always fun to catch up with Tim Finn, talk music, both specifics and things that we just meander into. It always takes great turns, and it comes up next. Looking for a truly unique escape from your normal entertainment or corporate team-building regimen? Stay tuned for an exclusive offer only for Reasonably Irreverent listeners. I'm excited to tell you about an extraordinary destination, the Exit Room, located in the heart of beautiful downtown Lee Summit. The Exit Room is a distinctive entertainment option that offers a cool alternative to the normal couples night out, family get-togethers, and corporate team-building events. The Exit Room is a one-of-a-kind boutique escape room catering to special occasions and corporate team-building events and is unmatched in the Kansas City metro. With 5 individually designed and varied escape room adventures, your party or employees can unplug from their electronic world, interact with one another, match wits, and ultimately escape the humdrum of the ordinary. The Exit Room adventures cross decades and centuries and create fascinating fun. I know the owners well. They are local folks, their staff is warm and friendly, their lobby is inviting and beautiful, and their adventures are award-winning. Check online. There are over 1,000 reviews, and note that they are a rare 5-star ranked business. Visit their website and Facebook page, and any of my listeners who books online at theexitroomkc.com using the promo code Clinkscale19 gets 10% off any ticket purchase. The Exit Room in Lee Summit. Unplug, interact, and escape. Get a refreshing change of your expectations of a sports bar and restaurant at the 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence. Matt Llewellyn's welcoming spot at Clinton Parkway and Cassold covers all the bases, like their own handcrafted beers and all the televisions you need for great sports viewing, but it's the large, varied, and delicious menu that stands apart. From a favorite of mine like the awesome ahi tuna appetizer to great sandwiches, outstanding pizza, and truly fantastic entrees, the 23rd Street Brewery has it all. Matt and his friendly staff make it that much more enjoyable. Food until 10, fun until late. The 23rd Street Brewery is a can't-miss stop when you are in Lawrence. We're here with Joe Spiker, the president of Easton Roofing. And Joe, you worked for other companies in the construction industry. What inspired you to start your own company in Easton Roofing?
Well, you know, Danny, when you are working for somebody else, you oftentimes don't get to see the project through from beginning to end, and you don't get the final control over the customer experience. And I wanted to build a place where people can come and get work done on their house and not have to worry about being treated the wrong way and get a good customer service experience start to finish.
The company slogan is Where Integrity Matters. Why is that so particularly important to you?
Well, for us, what that means is treating each other with respect at work, treating our clients with respect, and making the right choice, especially when no one's looking. So when you're presented all the time as a contractor with choices that have to be made, are you going to make more money on this if you cut a corner? And we just wanted to make a place and a slogan that said to our people and to whoever is our customer, we're not going to do that. We're going to make the right choice regardless of profit.
Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. Well, good to be back after a long hiatus with my musical friend and expert, Tim Finn from In Kansas City Magazine. And, of course, you can hear him with John Hart on 90.9 The Bridge as well. And always interesting to catch up with you. And when we have a long span like this, there ends up naturally being a lot of things to talk about. But in the last near month that we've been apart, you had to sort of blast from the past type of concerts back-to-back of fun type music from back in people's early hip-hop teenage years or something like that. Those are well attended, and well reviewed by you. And also, I did want to say this. They were really, really, the reviews at In Kansas City Magazine were very well written. Really enjoy the written word, and I just want to tell you that I enjoyed those more. They're always good, but I especially thought, wow, what a nice turn of phrase or things like that. So congratulations to you. But that was a lot of fun. 12,000 at Sprint Center for one, 3,500 or so at Starlight for another.
On a very cool night at Starlight,
right.
But it was fine because people started dancing and they didn't feel the chill.
You one of them was, of course, Mixtape, and then Backstreet Boys did it. Well, that was the Mixtape one, and then, of course, you had the reconfigured Belle Biv DeVoe and Bobby Brown. Why don't you do that one first?
So, yeah, New Edition has been here a couple of times. I saw them once at Sprint Center, and Bobby Brown looked like he didn't prepare enough physically for the show, for the demands of the show. There are seven or six people in that band in New Edition. So there's been some kind of, I don't know, something came between some of them. So it's basically down to four of them, Bobby Brown and Belle Biv DeVoe, and they call themselves whatever, the first...
What was it, BBRN?
Yeah.
RBRN.
Right. So basically it's them and paying homage to Belle Biv DeVoe, Bobby Brown, and then they did some New Edition. And Bobby Brown looked great. I mean, he looked different, and he was more animated, and he was capable of doing all the choreography throughout the show. And the thing I love about that is those songs are just so catchy and instantly accessible, and people were just up the whole time dancing because they're hooky and groovy and sort of pop, hip hop, and R&B, New Jack Swing, basically.
Right. And explain that phrase. You used it in both of those concert reviews, and I love the phrase. But
it's just a combination of pop and R&B and hip hop. It's this fusion of all of that.
Right.
Because there are elements of each in it, and I guess I forget where the phrase originated, but it's kind of perfect for that.
Right.
It's what it sounds like. And so it was. They had an amazing band behind them, which was as much of an attraction as everything else. They played for about 75 minutes, which is a little short, but it was fine. I mean, they played everything I think most people wanted to hear, or most of it. So that was really good. And what was a little bit of a discovery is some of their lyrics are a little, if you really go back and explore them,
yes,
they get into sexual politics, and they're not
appropriate,
no.
Especially now, maybe
they're not profane, but they're a little over the line sometimes.
Right. Imagine Bobby Brown.
Right, no kidding. Who's a grandfather now.
Right.
But they sort of skated over that, and between songs, they were a little more appreciative, but also they preached a little bit just about, what's important in life and what matters, and being loyal to fans and your family. And so they've definitely evolved since those days, but they're still singing those lyrics. It's kind of like, I don't pay attention to it. We were a lot younger then.
We're still dancing.
Right.
We're still, I wanted to ask you, and it'll provide an entree to the other show because it's a very similar type of show, but especially for this and New Jack Swing and that type of thing. There's no way to ever say that something is better or worse or whatever. It's just the way things evolve. But it would seem to me that at least the way people remember it now, and some of the tribute bands that you have around here who play, that original hip hop or that sort of peak of it in the late 80s, early 90s, whatever, was fun music. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we describe most of the popular hip-hop now as fun. Maybe it's more considered more important, more real, more straight. But what would you talk of, how would you profess the evolution of hip-hop from that standpoint?
We're also talking about two different things because alongside this kind of music in the late 80s and early 90s, just real hardcore hip-hop was evolving and rising too, like the whole West Coast, Dr. Dre, the Chronic, Snoop Dogg, all that stuff. So that was out there in the gangster rap. And this was separate of that. This was more mainstream top 40 radio.
Right.
And I think that's still going on. But I think the point I'm inferring is that when I see the radio R&B hip hop X like on Saturday Night Live, I don't think the songwriting is as good. I just don't. I don't find the center of the song. I don't find the hook or the chorus, which is fine because obviously these people are selling millions of copies of their singles and doing really well. So that's what I guess the radio audience wants now. I just don't, because I was raised on the Beatles and pop music and
well, we've talked before. We're both fans of melody, no matter what type of music, hooks, grooves, whatever. No matter what type of music it is, that is something that I embrace. As you say, there can be good music that is almost amelodic, but in the grand scheme of things, generally in my world, it's going to be hard for me to access music that won't have a hook, a melody, or a descriptive groove.
I really like Kendrick Lamar. I think he's as important as anyone in music, and I can find something to grab onto in his music. It's a little more, it's a little closer to, I don't know, jazz. It's a little more evolved, so it's not verse, chorus, verse, bridge. It's but he incorporates enough melody and hook that I can stay with it and really like it and appreciate the lyrics. But there are just some other bands and acts that I've seen where I listen to them and watch them for 3 or 4 minutes and then like I can't remember anything about the song or the music. I can remember some lyrics, but it just like this rhythm and percussion that seems random and not composed. And but who am I to argue? Because my exposure to rap generally now will be when I watch ESPN and there's basketball promos on, and I will know those songs are undoubtedly popular. And many of them have extremely repetitive lyrical strains, which some people kind of like, and sometimes work in a chorus situation. And it's sports, so that's part of the deal. But I agree with you. Some of the things that I hear that you were talking about, some of these songs that we're talking about today, are instantly recognizable from a lyrical and musical standpoint. Right, and I mean those. To be honest, that's not what this generation of. And I don't think these hip hop rappers we're talking about now are trying to be what New Kids on the Block were, or Bobby Brown or New Edition. So they're taking their tradition and going other places with it. And if there's a band with it, if I'm watching live, there's a band, I'm in because I can watch the band, appreciate the band. And but if it's just someone with pre-recorded music and like I said, if I can't define parts of the song, I just my mind wanders.
The other show that you reviewed around the same time was the New Kids on the Block, and of course it was 5 acts that played, and some of them 3 songs, as it were, but sort of back and forth. But they were the centerpiece of that. Is when you see somebody who was a big band and made it in their 20s, and they were a band per se, and then they grow older, it's a little more natural, I guess, because they're playing, even if they're playing music of their youth or whatever, generally it was about sort of timeless things or whatever. But when it's a dance-oriented teenage type of thing, and then the guys are up there and they're in their 40s or slightly beyond, do you have to, how hard is it to get past that a little bit, to watch a Wahlberg taking his shirt off and he's 47 years old, or doing the kind of things he did when they don't look bad. No. I mean, it's not like old Elvis or something. But.
So there's that. But it is a compromise. The thing was, everybody, I would say 90% of the crowd was in that same place, position. So they were all remembering what it was like to be 5 or 14 or 20. And it was absolutely 80% women and probably in their 30s and 40s. Mm-hmm. But there were little kids there singing along, and there were women in their 50s, and older. So